Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be reading 12 Dancing Princesses, retold and illustrated by Brigette Barrager. But before we do that, we're going to do our craft. So today we're going to be making a little popsicle princess bookmark, or a prince, whichever one you want. So here's what you need. You'll need a coffee filter or a cupcake liner, whichever one, some markers, some scissors, popsicle stick. It doesn't have to be this big, it can be a little one. Some water. It doesn't have to be in a spray bottle, it can be in like a little cup, and some glue. And if you have bejewels, you can use them. If not, just you can use whatever. Okay, let's get started. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take any color marker and we're gonna color this. So you can color this whichever colors. Okay. You want. That's not too good. And also I put something on it because the water will get on it and we don't want to ruin any tables and stuff. Brown. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fold it in half. And then you can either spray it directly on it or take a little sponge paintbrush and do that. I'm just going to go like this. I'm going to fold it a little bit more too. So I'm going to let that dry. I already made one, so this is our dried one. So what you're going to do is take your popsicle stick and glue it here. But you would first cut little right here to make it look like a little tutu. You're going to put your glue on this, and then going to attach it to your popsicle just enough so you can see the other side. So this is it. I want that to push around too. You can either pin it or glue it again or just leave it like this. So now what we're going to do is design. So I'm going to put a little bit of hair on. Put a little blush. And this can be whatever colors you want. I'm just using these. Okay, and then my little shoes. And you can use the bejewels. I'm going to use one. There is your bookmark craft. So you can put it in your bookmark like that. Okay, So we're going to be reading 12 Dancing Princesses, retold and illustrated by Brigette Barrager, and we'd like to thank Chronicle Books for allowing us to read this book. Once upon a time, in a kingdom far away, there were 12 princesses. Their names were Rose, Iris, Daisy, Tulip, Petunia, Bluebell, Clover, Violet, Zinnia, Lilac, Daffodil, and Poppy. Each one was lovelier than the flower she was named for. Although their lives were charmed, they had developed a mysterious problem. Every morning, without fail, the soles of the princesses' shoes were worn out and full of holes. And the princesses spent every day sleeping in the palace garden, snoozing and lounging like cats in the shade. The king had to hire a cobbler especially for the princesses. His name was Pip. He worked day and night to make shoes fit for royalty. Pip liked Princess Poppy because she always told him how beautiful the new shoes were. "They are so," she would say as she yawned. "Lovely, Pip." And then she would fall fast asleep again, just like that. Poppy really liked Pip too, but she just couldn't keep her eyes open long enough to say so. The king soon became quite concerned with the princesses' strange sleepy habits. "How can I expect my daughters to rule the kingdom after me when they spend their days napping?" he thought. So he made a proclamation. "Solve the mystery of the sleepy princesses, and you shall have any treasure your heart desires, no matter how great." Soon all sorts of scientists, scholars, doctors, detectives, fortune tellers, and philosophers arrived to lend their expertise. They studied the princesses while they slept or tried to sleep. They inspected and inquired, searched and researched, examined and explored. Of course, all of this only made the princesses wearier than ever. The experts tried and tried to explain the mystery of the sleepy princesses and the worn-out shoes, but they could not. "If the brightest and best minds in the kingdom cannot help us, who can?" the king sighed, and great sorrow fell over the court. Only one person would not give up so easily, Pip. He devised a plan to solve the mystery and went to work immediately. That day he made himself a pair of the softest, most silent shoes possible. And that night, after everyone had gone to bed and the castle was dark and still, Pip snuck to the princess's room, put his ear to the door, and waited. Soon he heard a stirring, rustling, swooshing sound, but not a single word, not even a whisper. Pip peeked through the door and saw all the 12 princesses dressed in their finest gowns. They looked as though they were going to a grand ball, but their eyes were still closed as if they were sleeping. "Are they sleepwalkers?" wondered Pip. But just then an extraordinary thing happened. A trap door appeared in the floor, and its door swung wide open. Inside were steep stairs leading down, down, down. The princesses descended one by one, still fast asleep. Pip crept along behind them, quieter than a mouse in his expectational shoes. The stairs led into a cavern filled with a forest of shimmering, shining, glittering trees made of silver, gold, and diamonds. Perched in the trees were beautiful jewel-colored birds, singing quiet lullabies. "This is a magic place," thought Pip. "No one would believe it unless they saw it." So he broke a few twigs off the trees to keep as proof. At the edge of the forest was a dark, dreamy lake with boats waiting on its shore. The princesses stepped aboard, and Pip had to jump on quickly before they began to float silently toward an island. "This is definitely some kind of enchantment," thought Pip. On the island was a ballroom with candles flickering and music playing. The princesses began to dance, twirling and turning, dipping and bowing, graceful as ballerinas. "No wonder their shoes wear out every night," thought Pip. The princesses danced for hours and hours until morning. Suddenly the music faded, and just as quietly as they had arrived, the princesses left the island. "I can't let this continue," said Pip. He had read enough stories to know that kisses are almost always the best antidote for spells, but he was so much of a gentleman that he could only bring himself to kiss Poppy's delicate hand. No sooner had he done so than her eyes fluttered open, and so did all her sister's eyes. Before anyone could utter a word, the forest of silver and gold and diamonds began to crumble into vapor and dust. The princesses hurried up the stairs and into the room, where the trapdoor slammed shut and disappeared in a whirl of smoke. "What happened?" asked Rose, rubbing her eyes. "Why are we all dressed up?" yawned Zinnia. "You were under a spell, your highnesses," explained Pip. "You traveled to an underground land and danced all night. I followed you there and you broke the spell?" asked Poppy, who was quite happy to see Pip. "Yes, I suppose I did," said Pip. "Let's go tell Father that the mystery is solved," she exclaimed. They rushed to the throne room to give the king the good news, and Pip told the whole story. "Do you have proof that this underground land existed?" asked the king. Pip took the silver, gold, and diamond twigs from his pocket. They sparkled in the daylight. "I knew there was still magic stirring in these castle walls," said the king. "You were more clever and brave than all the wisest people in the kingdom put together, and you have saved my daughters from their enchantment. So what reward do you choose? 1,000 bags of gold? A chest of diamonds? A castle of your own? What is your heart's desire?" asked the king. "Your Majesty, more than anything else, I'd like to ask for Poppy's hand in marriage," answered Pip nervously. Poppy smiled brightly. "Yes," she said. "Yes, of course." From that day on, the princesses were happy and lively, and they never spent another day snoozing in the garden. Pip and Poppy were married, and at their wedding, the princesses danced more beautifully and joyfully than they ever had before. And of course, they all lived happily ever after. The end. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us next week as we do you believe in unicorns? Bye.